Hello everyone, welcome to Thriving Talk. This is a Dadson edition in which me, Tim, gets the chance to ask my dad, Tinku Thompson, questions. Welcome, Dad.
Thank you, Tim. I'm so glad and look forward to have this talk shows which we decided to start, and I'm very excited to spend some time talking to you on things which you have to ask me.
Thank you for this time. So, this summer, we had started a small study along with my sister where my dad will talk to us about some difficult and challenging questions. Dad, as you are keeping it simple and in a way we could understand, please keep the level of your answers at the level so that it can be more beneficial. For all listeners, if you need a more detailed or complicated answer, feel free to contact my dad directly.
That's funny, Tim, because what do you mean by that? You mean that I make things complicated?
Sometimes.
Yeah, as you said, I will try to make sure that whatever I say will be easy enough for anyone to understand. I think that's the goal of our Thriving Talk anyway. So yeah, I will keep that in mind as I answer. So for all listeners, yes, there are a lot of things which can be answered in more detailed, complicated way. If you ever feel like there is something more, always feel free to reach out to me, and you can always respond to your questions otherwise. But Tim, let's go ahead.
So now let's move on, Dad. I want to ask you many things in the upcoming episodes. I will do that, but today I want to ask you something very personal which impacted our family and my life, especially in the last year. Your sickness and recovery. Can you explain what happened and your journey briefly?
Yes, Tim. It's been almost more than a year. Yes, let me try to explain it in a brief, small way so that our episode doesn't become long, because we can speak about it for hours.
That's true.
Before I start talking anything, I want to really thank God and appreciate the fact that during this journey, you, your sisters, your mom, everyone in the family, they all stood very strong, and that's the reason we came out of it strongly. So I thank God in the beginning itself for what sustaining grace which was given to us. So, as you asked, last June, I have started to develop some health issues, pain, and ended up in the urgent care a few times, and finally, back in July, I ended up in emergency department, and then it later led to a diagnosis of a very rare form of leukemia, lymphoma type of disease or a problem. And it came from nowhere because I was normally a healthy person. I don't remember any time being hospitalized. Used to do all the annual, checkups. Everything was going good. The ministry was going well. Of course, we were hit by the COVID, but that actually opened up a lot of ministry avenues, and I was speaking in different places, different countries. I was enjoying the ministry. Job was going well. Everything was fine. And in fact, we just celebrated your sister's first birthday, and it was only after a few weeks that we were hit with this news, which was tragic in many sense. But let me give you a little bit of a background that even before this all came and it happened, the Lord had prepared me, and maybe in some other episode or some other time I may share more about that, but had mentally prepared. It's been 25 years last year since I came to know the Lord, and all these 25 years, Lord enabled me to do a few things for His glory. But when I look back, the Lord has been leading in a very miraculous, marvelous ways. But this was something which we never expected to come. So long story short, so I was admitted at Mayo Clinic in Rochester, and initially it took almost 10 days for my final diagnosis to come, and the doctors over there told me that this is not a simple case. It's kind of a little bit of a rare case, so they were going to try some treatment, and if that was going to, they were going to see if it works, otherwise they will have to change the plan. And by God's grace, after my first cycle of treatment, I got into remission, and then it was tough, but I was able to endure all those things. Then I went through another 4 cycles of treatment, and as you know well, that every time after a cycle of treatment, I had to stay there and then come home, mostly for a week or so, and then go back because it was a rapid or very strong treatment they were giving. So it was tough because you all were here, me and your mom, we used to be there. And then as it went on, they strongly recommended that we should go with a stem cell transplant. And as you know, my sister, she was willing and to donate her stem cells, and I ended up having a stem cell transplant in December. Tim, at this point, I remember before we had to make that decision, me sitting with you. Do you remember that time when? Yeah, I explained what's the 2 options in front of us, or in front of me at that time. One was to go through the traditional treatment, and it was going to be 8 cycles of treatment plus 2.5 years of further treatment, or go with transplant, which was more risky, but so all those things. And I remember that at that time you basically appreciated, you sat down with me, understood, tried to understand at your age what was going on, and then you also was supporting me to go with transplant.
Yeah, I wanted him back home faster.
Yeah, and that transplant treatment was not a easy one in any sense, and
it was the harder one.
Yeah, so a couple of things in that was they wanted a full-time caretaker to be with me. So it turned out to be your mom being away. And then they also wanted a 100 days commitment where we would stay there. So we cannot come home. We have to be prepared for a 100 days stay over there. So we ended up there. It was a challenging experience. It was difficult things. There were a lot of procedures which were painful. There were times which were painful, but God's grace covered, and one by one, things went by. There were days where I felt very terrible. I was in pain, and completed the transplant and all the things. And I think after 80 plus days or something, we were able to come back. Maybe after a little while, after 80, and then the follow up. And today I'm doing better. I'm good. I still remember a lot of miracles which happened, and one of the miracle was you wanted me to be home for your birthday, if you remember.
Yeah.
And that was never going to happen because it was only like 2 days before that my treatment cycle was getting over, and it normally takes anywhere between 5-10 days before my blood counts come up and they allow me to come home. But God honored your prayers and our desires, and that was a miracle that in 2 days my counts came back up, and I was here.
That was I was so happy for that to happen because I really wanted them home. So.
Yeah, so that I ended up, and there were other incidents too. I think there was something around your sister's birthday too, and then around that time too. So God's provisions in many things. God's grace sustained, and today I'm getting better. As you know, last Saturday we both, along with few others, went for biking because doctor gave me the permission to do the biking, which we used to do before I got sick.
Yeah.
So we biked almost more than 5.5 miles. And for the listeners, that you may sound that silly, but there were a few days not so long ago where I could not even walk 500 steps a day. And I will be so tired because that's what this whole treatment process does to your body. And so today I'm thankful for the strength, and I'm started working. I've been going to the church and preaching, back involved in ministry, this was very hard hit on us in many ways, but God's grace. And one more thing I wanted to tell Tim is that if you remember, there were so many people who were praying, literally thousands.
A lot of people.
Yeah. So the church where I pastor, they had prayer going on. The ICPF International Ministry, where I serve as a director of operations, they had a prayer line. Every time I get admitted in the hospital, every day they will pray. And during my transplant days, they prayed almost continuously for 111 days or so. And there was literally people from many countries coming and praying. Then the organization where I serve, another one, they have prayer line going on. And there were a lot of churches who added my name to their daily prayer list, and they were praying. So I think as a result of a lot of people's pleading and prayer, and also because of a lot of requests which went to the Lord, and also because of the purpose and plans of God, I could come out of it. And that was what happened in a very brief manner. So today I'm going better, and if you are somebody who's listening, I would just request that you continue to pray that my recovery will be complete, and I will be able to do more and fulfill the purpose of God through my life. And I also appreciate that. That I'm a very private person. Before all these things happened, I am not a person who will share a lot about me, but during this journey, I met so many people whose stories were a blessing to me, and I was able to bless many with a lot of encouraging words. I met so many staff at the hospital who shared different things, and I realized one thing, that it's fine to share your experiences, to encourage and strengthen others. So that's why I think once I'm back now, we have decided to do whatever we can do to be a blessing and encouragement for others. So I'm so glad that as we start, and we will be talking about different topics in the coming weeks. You started with this personal question of what happened, so that our listeners can really understand that we come from we just went through something which was hard, and as I said, I really missed you guys when I was there, but I know
we missed you too.
Yeah, but now I'm happy that it's behind, and I'm on the other side, and I look forward to what God has planned. And that's a very short summary of what happened. There are a lot of details which, as I said, maybe some other day or in some other instances where we will share, but this is what exactly happened. So
it was a long journey, but so Dad, I am sure that you learned a lot of things during this huge sickness and this whole journey. But what is one thing that stands out really?
There were so many things. So let me just say a few things here. I can't just nail it down to one, but I will come to one. But so one thing I want to tell you is we have to make every day count. We have to make sure that every day we use it to the best of our ability, because we don't know how many days we have, and so we have to use it. And second thing, we have to be thankful. So nowadays, when I get up in the morning, there were days where I could not get up in the morning. I didn't have the strength to get up in the morning, or I needed help. But now when I get up and go to the restroom on my own, or do things and all. I am so thankful to God for the strength. Everything may not be perfect in our lives, but we can be thankful for everything God has done in our lives, right? So that's an important aspect to remember. Be thankful and also use our time and resources to help others. We should not be living for ourselves, and we should have purpose in life. We should not be wasting any time. Now, you asked me one thing, right? So let me say one thing which I learned and which has been very much emphasized to me, and especially after the diagnosis. The doctors told about the diagnosis. Your mom could not stay back with me, that because of all the COVID restrictions, so I was alone. I was praying. So the Lord brought these verses to me and spoke few things. Again, not going into the details, I want to read few verses from Philippians chapter 1, where Apostle Paul talks about his perspective of life. He says, "For me, living means living for Christ. Dying is even better. But if I live, I can do more fruitful work for Christ. So I really don't know which is better. I'm torn between two desires. I long to go and be with the Lord or with Christ, which would be far better for me." Then he says, "But as for your sake, it is better that I continue to live. Knowing this, I'm confident that I will remain alive so I can continue to help all of you grow and experience the joy of your faith." So basically, one thing I realized is that from a Christian perspective, this world is not our home, permanent home. This is going to end. Our life is not permanent here. We will be going to Christ, and that is going to be the glorious, our final destiny, which will be very blessed. But before that, as we are living in this world, we continue to live so that we can be of help to others, right? And as Paul says, I can continue to help all of you grow and experience the joy of your faith. So one thing I have resolved in my life is that the days and the time which God gives, I want to live so that I can be a blessing for others. Yeah. And I would encourage you also to take that into consideration, that we don't live for ourselves. We don't have to just enjoy our days in this world and just finish it up, but live for others and be a blessing for others. Help others in whatever way we can. That would be one take. As I said, there will be many. We can talk about that later. But as I said, make every day count. Be thankful. Use it to help others and have a purpose. And then make sure that you are living with that perspective in your life.
Yeah, that's a great message and a great thing for everybody to put into their lives. So I know you kind of basically answered my next question, but what are you doing to share your experience to encourage and bless others?
That's a good thing to ask, because one thing I've been praying since the beginning of this journey is, God, don't let it go waste, right? Because I believe and I know that God has a purpose, and He wants to, mold me, change me, use me to whatever way. The world may not know, but it has to be something God has to accomplish the purpose. So my desire is to do whatever I can do to accomplish that. Along with that, I'm writing a book about my experience, which I hope to finish sometime this year. I'm working on it, where I will be writing about my experience and different perspectives. At this time, I'm planning about 15 chapters or in that, and it's all drafted. Like, I have to add in more information. I started it right after I got into this whole journey, but there were a lot of days and months where I could not do anything. But now, as God has given me the strength, I'm working on that thing. And then be available to people who may be going through challenging times and difficult times, and extend word of encouragement and support as needed. So you can look for my book, where In fact, you will be reading things probably you don't know yet.
Yeah.
Or maybe I haven't shared with anyone, or probably I will not share in a platform like this. But I'm planning to put all those things in that book so that someone else who may have to go a similar journey or take a similar path will be encouraged. So that's the main thing I'm looking forward to. And plus, having these type of talks.
Yeah. They're really fun. Okay. So, Dad, thank you for your time. I actually learned a lot of things that you have never told me. But thank you for sharing, Dad, all the intel you had. And to all listeners, thank you for listening. In the upcoming weeks, we will be coming back with Dadson editions of Thriving Talk, and I will be asking more questions to my dad. Until then, stay blessed and be thankful for everything.
Thank you. God bless you all.